Ashley, welcome to the Dream Big podcast.
Thank you so much for making time for me to come on. I'm so excited.
It's such an honor to have you here, and I must say that you have had one of the most interesting career paths out of all the other people on our podcast so far.
Yeah, I guess it's not every day that somebody chooses to work in counterterrorism, but I know that everybody kind of has their own way into what they're meant to be doing, and that was just part of my journey.
For sure. And as you described in your book, that of course you as you said you worked in counterterrorism, but you noticed that it wasn't part of what you call your core nature. So can you share a little bit about your journey and share with our big dreamers what core nature means?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have a certain energy that they bring to the room. And I think one thing that people kind of miss is that they might put themselves in a career that takes them out of the natural way of being that they have. Like for you, Eva, you're so bubbly and chatty and fun. And that's why a podcast is working for you. That's why this show is doing so well. You're in your core nature, you're in your core essence. And if somebody would ask me what my core essence is, what my core nature is, it would be very similar to yours. I'm bubbly, I'm chatty, I love people, I'm very people-y. And so I think for
Yeah.
anybody listening, it's really important to kind of ask yourself, what is your core nature? What are a few adjectives that people would use to describe the presence that you bring when you walk into the room? And a lot of people haven't thought about that. And so I think it's really important to kind of take that moment, maybe ask people, how do they experience you when you walk into the room, and start to pay attention to how they describe you.
For sure. And I love the tip that you had in your book about, as you said, you can ask people around you, but you can ask your friends and family on what you do best. And you'll be surprised about what you learn about yourself, right?
Definitely. And it's funny, a lot of research shows, especially when it comes to love and choosing a partner that you're going to marry, that your friends and your family know better than you do on whether the relationship will last. And I think it's the same thing with your career, is that people can kind of see where you're strong sometimes before you even notice it, especially because what you're good at sometimes is obvious to you and not obvious, and other people, it's not so obvious to them. So they see you and they think it's amazing, versus for you, you're just doing you.
For sure. And I know a lot of the big dreamers listening are still in school right now, but they're dreaming about their future careers. But actually, in your book, you talked about how the really sad reality is that the vast majority of people are not loving what they do in their career. And 71%, according to your website, are looking 71% of people are looking for new jobs. So, can you explain why many people don't end up in the careers that they're excited about, and why have you made this a passion to help people pick and succeed in the right career?
Yeah, I think when I hear that statistic of 70 or more percent of the population looking for a new job, I just don't think to myself like they went to the office and said to themselves, I need to grow, I need a new job. Usually what happens is that they're not job hunting, they're clarity hunting. They're looking for their
Mm-hmm.
next step that is going to inspire them, and they're looking to kind of scratch an itch and hope that the next thing feels better for them. And I think one of the most expensive mistakes that people can make in their career is not have clarity, because it becomes expensive in a way. You keep trying different things and you keep putting time into different things, only to find that maybe you haven't really scratched that itch and you're still job hunting. And so I find it so much more effective to really start reflecting, asking yourself these bigger life questions. And that's what got me to write the U-turn book.
Well, I think that it's so amazing, Ashley, that you are helping people identify their passions and gifts and steer them in the right direction. Because when people do pick the right career, not only are they making themselves happy, but they're going to contribute more to society. So you're making the world a better place by helping them pick their careers.
Thank you. I think that the world needs more people to be who they are. And for some reason, when we're younger, sometimes we get the message, and you certainly don't seem to have that message sitting here on this podcast with me, but that we need to be someone to survive or make money a certain way. And I think that people forget, like, the world smiles back at you when you're being who you are. You get bigger breaks and bigger opportunities because you're just in flow being you versus trying to push a river and be somebody else.
I agree. And one of the things that we always talk about on the podcast is to follow your dreams, to figure out what you are passionate about. And you can find a career in life that's in line with those passions. But of course, we have all sorts of passions. How do you pick just one passion? And I mean, you made an important point in your book that you should not only do what you love, but honor who you are. So, can you share what you mean by that?
Yeah, I grew up in a world where everybody was saying, follow your passion, follow your bliss, and you'll never work a day in your life. And what I found was that being a good consumer of something, like I love cupcakes, for example, it doesn't mean you're going to be a good producer of something. It doesn't mean I'm good at baking them. It just means I'm good at experiencing them. That's a passion. And so I think a lot of people have passions and hobbies that are based on what they resonate with, not necessarily where their skill set is. And the world really needs your skill set, where you're naturally talented, because your skill set is a reflection of how you spend your day, how you spend your time. And if you're not really spending your day in doing responsibilities that align with a skill that you have, and you're just surrounded by something you're interested in, you might not be able to move the needle. And so it's important to know what you're passionate about, but to remember that your passions, your interests, whether it's fashion or politics or movies or podcasting, sometimes it's in the backdrop of what you're actually meant to be doing. What you're actually meant to be doing is using a skill set. In your case, I'm hearing that you're very good at words. That's a skill set. And when you can lead with words, there's many different job titles or services that you can provide under that skill set. And there's many different backdrops, be it in the film industry, in the political world, whatever it is. But you really want to lead with who you are, what your skills are.
I mean, that's so true. I love cotton candy and I love singing, but
Yeah.
it would probably be a better idea, like, let's say, to work on my singing skills than my cotton candy eating skills. Because singing or podcasting is more likely to be an outlet for creative expression, and you can impact more people by sharing that gift with the world. So it's really good to find something that's true to yourself and meaningful to yourself. And as you point out in your book, Ashley, 90,000 hours of your life will be at work. And that's more than 66% of your time. So if you want to pick something that's not, you want to pick something that's not only fun, but as you said, honors who you truly are.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we spend so much of our time trying to be somebody else. And I think that's why so many people are burnt out and exhausted. It's really tiring to be somebody else. You have to pretend and you have to hone a bunch of skills that might not be in your zone of genius. Or maybe you're working in an area that isn't really honoring your core values, the principles by which you live your life. But whatever it is, I think life is too short to be someone else. And there is a career out there and there's room on top. So even if you want to do what you would think is the weirdest thing, there's somebody out there crushing it doing that thing. And there's space for you too, if you're willing to commit to the path.
Yeah, and as you said, there's so many people who have mentors to help guide you. And I know that when you left the Pentagon, you hired a career coach to help you, and actually you discovered that that was your calling too. So, can you share why you hired a coach, why it was such a good decision, and why our big dreamers need to actively seek mentors and coaches now and in the future of their life?
Yeah, what a great question. There's a few different types of mentors. So, one type of mentor is somebody in the workplace who tactically will make sure you get opportunities. They go out of their way to put your name forward. That's more of a sponsor. And then there's the mentor that's like the wise old owl that has been there and done that, and they're complete with their career and they just want to impart wisdom upon you. And then there's the kind that you pay. I decided to pay someone because I needed more than free advice. I needed somebody to hold my hand and come with me on a journey in my career. And I was scared. And I think it's really important that when you hire somebody to support you, you have a very clear goal in mind so that you can get the ROI on your investment. But in my case, I just decided that I wanted to go pro. And so, just like the best athletes out there have a coach guiding them to get to their next level, I needed to hire a coach to guide me to get to my next level. So, I would say anybody who is really thinking about a huge career transformation, whether they hire a coach like me, or maybe somebody, if they're at the executive level, they need an executive coach. It's so important to be willing to invest in yourself, because one of the key indicators, and this comes from a friend of mine who's done a lot of research, Benjamin Hardy, he found that one of the key indicators of change has come from people who are willing to put money behind the change that they want. So it's not just wanting it, but it's actually investing in it. And that doesn't have to be a coach. There's many ways to invest in your dreams.
That's such a good point, Ashley. And don't forget, big dreamers, you can find someone who has done what you're looking to do, even if it sounds something so weird, but it's actually something, like Ashley said, that someone is out there crushing at the moment.
Yeah.
So they can give you great advice, and you can get to your big dream that much faster. And I've heard the great Les Brown say that you can't see the picture unless you are in the frame. If you have an experienced advisor who can look out from the outside of the frame and give you advice, you'll be amazed at how many mistakes you can avoid.
Definitely. And I think sometimes people hire a coach just to get to a goal, but they forget that there's value in just avoiding a bunch of mistakes from somebody who's been there and done that. I love that quote that you shared.
Thank you. And you have a section in your book called Knock on Hundreds of Doors and You'll Always Get a Yes, where you share how you used to make calls and send emails looking for a job, and not everyone was nice to you, but you didn't give up when you got those no's or people didn't pick up. So, can you talk a little bit about the importance of continuing to pursue even when you get those no's?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think a lot of people who want to be successful, and or who are successful, I look at them and I think to myself, wow, in order to create the success you have, you must have a really positive conversation going on in your head about failure. And I think a lot of people tend to make a lot of meaning out of failure. If they fail at something initially, they make it mean that there's something wrong with them, that they might not be meant for that path, or whatever they make it mean when they have a failure. But the truth of the matter is that failure lives on the same block as success. And in order to really get what you want, you have to understand that part of the equation, if you're on this journey, it's like a scavenger hunt in your life, is going to be to fail in some way. And I think the real question is, are you really failing if you're just in the process? My belief is you're just entering a process, and there's losses and losses and losses in order to find your wins. And so in my case, I really wanted to work at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. I'd studied national security and counterterrorism. And I just told myself, I want this so bad. I want this so much more that I'm afraid of failing. I want it so much more than that. And I carried that energy with me with every door I knocked on, with every cold call I made, with every cold email I sent. I told myself, I am more afraid of my life if I don't do this than I am of the rejection. And so I think it starts with really knowing what you want and really getting clear on what you want. And I think that's what made me want to write this book, is that we spend so much time chasing things like we talked about that aren't true. But when you really want something, it's almost like people who are low on energy in their lives, it's usually just that they're low on purpose. And when they get that sense of purpose, they get that sense of excitement, it pulls them out of bed in the morning, and it makes them more fearless in the pursuit of what they want if they want that thing enough.
That is so true. And this has been a recurring theme on the podcast, and that people can achieve their dreams and do not stop when they get a no. J.K. Rowling famously got rejected by 12 publishers before she got her yes. And in life, you need to be prepared to get those no's and not give up.
Exactly. I love that. And I think there's a lot of actors that I've Googled where it's like they were auditioning to be an actor into their 50s and then they got these huge opportunities. And I think it's kind of like this concept of my chapter where if you knock on enough doors, eventually you'll get a response. And sometimes you don't know exactly what that response will be, but it will be an opportunity. And because you put your energy towards something specific, it's going to be an opportunity in the realm of what you want. And those big breaks actually become something that you can count on happening when you put yourself out there enough.
For sure. And I'm wondering if you can apply some of the tips that you share in your book to helping kids identify with extracurricular activities or clubs that they might choose to get involved with in school, whether they're in school right now or when it starts back up again, to help develop their passions.
Yeah, it's so funny because when I was 5 in my preschool graduation, I talk about this in my book, how I walked up to the microphone and I said that I wanted to be a poet and a mother and an author. And it's funny because I went on this journey for 20 years of my life to follow completely off course from that. And then I came back to that in my 30s and wrote this book and started my podcast and put all this stuff out there that was inspiring for me. So I think when it comes to the clubs that you're in or the things that you're interested in, the time that you have when you're a kid is so sacred. And kids don't even realize that this is the time where you're in your most natural state. When we're kids, we are drawn to fun. We're not overthinking our fun. We just want to have fun. And so if you can start to notice where fun is for you and start to ask people around you, like we were talking about how wise people are around you, be fearless in asking people around you what do they think about your skills or where do they see you at your very best. And you'll start to notice that some people might say that the sports that they watch you play, that's where you're your best and you're a true athlete. And the thing about this is that if you do a lot of sports and somebody doesn't say that that's where at your best and you don't feel like that's where at your best, I think it's really important to say, wow, this is a hobby that I love. This might not be a career path, and celebrate that. Celebrate where you're not at your best, because that's just feedback from the universe for you that that's not the path for you. And that's such a valuable piece of information.
That's great advice, Ashley. Right now, even if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, you can start building the skill of identifying what makes you excited. That way, you'll have the right mindset to seek out opportunities along your path.
Exactly.
So before we depart, I have a couple last questions for you.
Yes.
So, what's your big dream for the future?
Hmm. I would say my mission ever since I started my business in career coaching and as a spokesperson and as an author is to help people really come home to who they are, to give people permission to be themselves. And your career is just one area that I've worked on helping people do that through my work. And so that would be my very big dream is everybody becomes more fearless, especially after 2020, dealing with COVID, being at home. This is such a reflective time. So my big dream is for everybody to really listen to that little whisper inside of them, telling them who they really want to be.
That is so powerful. If you go back in time and talk to your 10-year-old self, what would be the best advice?
Hmm. My best advice would be don't make your dreams smaller than they are. Like, let your dreams be big and remember that there's somebody out there doing it, and there's nothing different between who they are and who you are. There's nothing different between you and that person who's doing those big things. So don't let other people who don't think it's possible get in your way, because they might not think it's possible for them, but that means nothing about whether it's possible for you.
That's so true. And for our very last question, where can our audience find out more about you?
Mm. I so appreciate this question. Well, my book U-Turn is out in January, and I'm giving away an entire bundle of courses for those of you. I love you holding the book. It's so fun to look at it. So for those of you who want to get more clarity on your purpose, even start a business, or just have more fun in your job. I have a bundle of courses at youturnbook.com. It's YOUTURN book.com. And if you pre-order your book there, upload your receipt, you'll get all of those free courses for you to keep learning.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And big dreamers, make sure to check out Ashley's book, U-Turn, and go find her online because you will be truly amazed at all the incredible things she does. Thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on to the Dream Big podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.